Hey, we're live. You never know when this thing's live or not. So, how's it going? Sean Terry here, and we are live. I'm going to go into the chat area real quick and make sure tell everyone we are live. Comma read F-R-E, your S-E-R-E-N. Alrighty. All right. So how's everyone doing? Ooh, I just kicked the camera. Sorry about that. It just shook you guys' head around. So what's up? Business is rocking. Always testing new killer stuff. If this is your first coaching call, I want to welcome you. We do this in the Google Hangout style, which we can talk. I can show the screen. We'll be able to answer questions, look at comps if you want, give some different suggestions about current deals that you got going on. But this is a way that we plug in every 2 weeks where you and I get to interact. And my goal, obviously, is to help you progress in your business. Because when it comes to real estate, it's so fluid. You know, everything is just so, every deal is different. And that's the hardest thing when you're brand new and you're getting started and you're, even if you are more advanced, and you've done 2, 3, 4 deals, there's always deals, right, that come across your desk that you're going, holy cow, how do I structure that? And it's there's a question that came. I'll answer here in a little bit, but it's like, what do you do in certain situations when you have tenants that are involved, when you have sellers that are out of state, when you have sellers that are in probate situations, or they're in bankruptcy or foreclosure situations? There's all these ways to structure deals. The goal is finding the motivated seller that wants to be able to do it. So that's what's so exciting about real estate, is it's completely different. And we're only talking about the residential sector. That's what I focus on. But then you can move into the commercial sector. Then we can move into the multifamily sector. Then we can move into, the land acquisition and entitlement or development, or go into the building phase, or go into high rises like Donald Trump does. The amazing thing is that, Donald Trump, right, and what we do, it's all real estate. They're just big, different numbers, different situations. So what I love about this is that your entry point into real estate might be flipping a $30,000 house using no cash, no credit. But then guess what? It can move in, depending on how big your thinking is, can move into a lot larger opportunities where there's still either potential cash flow plays or they're flip plays. A lot of what, you talk about Donald Trump, a lot of things that he does is he'll go in, buy a distressed building, add value to it, and either keep it for cash flow, or he'll turn around and flip it and make $100 million. You know what I mean? And that's what's great about this business. It doesn't matter if you flip a $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 house, or $100,000 or $200,000 house, or an apartment complex. The numbers are the same. It's just the playing field gets bigger. So that's what I love about it. So, like I said, if you're brand new, you're just getting started, I'm going to go to here, show my screen real quick, and give you a couple update things. We're here here. Make sure you refresh your screen. You just refresh it by clicking the refresh button there, and pressing play. So cool, you can hear loud and clear. It looks like everyone's good. Okay, so obviously here's the blog at flip2freedom.com. Here is where we put success stories. There's different articles in there. The podcast is in there, and we're going to start doing a lot of interviewing of members that are, and kind of do like member highlights. We're going to do interviews for guys that, are making, we have guys that were making $20,000 a month, and now they're making, $100,000 a month. Guys that are just brand new and just got started, and they went out and did their first deal. We're going to be interviewing that. So we're going to start reaching out to a lot of the members to do interviews. So if you have a great story, make sure you post it inside the Flip to Freedom Academy. Let me go to Facebook. The Flip to Freedom Academy Facebook group. Post your story inside here, right? Post your stories inside here, And then I hired a new assistant, Jerry Beth, and what she's going to do is go in there and she'll schedule something with you to get on the podcast, which is exciting because it will share a lot of great stories with everybody, whether it's advanced or new stories. Either way, it's all cool. So make sure you post your stories in here. That's where we're going to be able to connect with you. And be able to get you on the podcast and schedule an interview with you, which would be cool. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that, which will be fun, highlighting all the members, which is exciting. Nothing to be nervous about. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you go to flip2freedomchallenge.com, flip2freedomchallenge.com. It's this site right here. You're able to, we give $1,000 away a month, and then at the grand prize, $10,000. Now Chelsea's working to get that video up of the Extreme Freedom Live. We just got the video footage from it last week. So the Extreme Freedom Live, she's going to take a section of the video where we gave away $10,000 on stage, and it was awesome. People had a blast doing it. So we're going to be doing that this year. We have the Extreme Freedom Live scheduled for next May, which will be exciting. We'll get the dates and get everything put together for that, so you guys have information. But make sure you sign up for the Flip to Freedom Challenge. It's very easy. You can be a member or non-member. Doesn't matter. First name, email, and then enter your results here, which is cool. All right. Follow me on Instagram. Instagram, Flip to Freedom, Instagram.com. Post cool inspirational stuff, pictures on there, videos on there. All cool different type of stuff. I was in New York recently for 10 days, and we pretty much got our whole trip up there, which is cool. Which is my kids out there, all sorts of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. So I just play around with Instagram. It's kind of cool, and that is it. All right. So oops. Let me go here. Let me go here. Okay, so what I want to talk about on this call is primarily about answering your questions. You know, usually I go in and I talk about what's going on in the market. I talk about what's going on in my business. Now, interestingly enough, when I first started, it was just me, myself, and I, right? I had a team of 3, me, myself, and I, right? And I was doing everything. I was calling, I was dealing with all the marketing, I was calling all the sellers, I was determining motivation, I was managing all the leads, and I didn't have Podio or anything like that to be able to manage it. I just managed everything on I just had a notepad. I just put everything inside a notepad. Well, I can't read my writing because my writing sucks, so I'd be losing leads left and right. So then I would turn around and I go on the appointments with the sellers. I comp all the properties. I negotiate. Then I get the properties under contract. Then I get them over to the escrow company. I wouldn't email them. I'd drive them over there, right? And then I do the marketing for the buyers. I put bandit signs around. I put the property on the website. I'd send the email blast out, right? And I do this whole thing, when it came to the whole everything. So me, myself, and I, it was a one-man show. I did everything. Well, when I launched the podcast in April of 2010, I was the one-man show. It was crazy. I was doing everything, and then launched a podcast, and obviously, built the Flip to Freedom Academy. But then what happened is I started hiring people. Okay, and that was a big step for me. It was very uncomfortable, and I went down the whole. I'm going to hire a virtual assistant. Now, some people, like I got a friend of mine, Joe McCall, Alex Youngblood. They've had great success hiring virtual assistants in like Philippines or other different markets, and then train them and work with them. I tried that, but it didn't work for me. It didn't work at all. I hired a virtual assistant. I train them, and then all of a sudden they drop off the face of the planet. Or the results weren't getting done, or they knew how to kind of scam the system. So when I worked on Odesk, so I'm not a big advocate unless they're doing unless you're hiring someone to like write articles for your blog or something like that for about real estate. Things that they can go in and they're going to produce some sort of a result. But to turn over all the phone calls to someone. That makes me nervous. I want kind of someone in-house that I can work with and train. So I went down that road and tried to hire a bunch of people, and I had some issues with that. And then I hired my first person, like a personal assistant that did management for the Flip to Freedom Academy members, but then also worked with me as an assistant. Now, the interesting thing was when that happened, everything changed for me. It was nerve-wracking. And I'm an impatient person, so I'm like, let's go. But a lot of things changed for me. I got out of my comfort zone, and then from that point, I understood what leverage was, because I always felt guilty that if I didn't work, right, there wasn't producing revenue. So if I didn't call sellers and talk to buyers and market for properties, if I didn't have that whole system going when it was me, myself, and I, then what happened was I felt guilty, right? I ever felt guilty? I would be walking through the park with my daughter on a Saturday afternoon, and I would feel guilty that I wasn't out there talking to sellers to generate revenue, and that's a terrible feeling. So when we started hiring people, then realized that holy cow, it's leverage, because now guess what? You're having a team of people that's all generating revenue for the company, other than one person having to generate revenue. So, now I am a complete advocate when it comes to hiring a person, a part of the company, that can produce revenue. Okay, I don't like hiring someone that's not going to produce revenue, because now that's just a support person. So you're going to want to hire someone that's going to produce revenue for the company. So now you've got 2 people producing revenue. You hire a third person, you got 3 people producing, 4 people, you get 4 people producing revenue for the company. Okay, so what am I talking about here? I'm talking about basically where it's progressed. So it's interesting now, from 2010, April of 2010, to where now we're in June of 2014. Over those 4 years, through the podcast and through the training and information, it's all kind of progressed up to where now it's in a situation where I'm really diving in on how to perfect the business and how to get it to run as a dialed-in, smooth operation, and to be able to scale it. Because to go from $0 to $5 million, you can do that. But then to go from $5 million to $20 million or $100 million, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of different things that need to happen to be able to grow like that. Strategic marketing and a lot of different systems in place to be able to make it happen, and to get almost everybody rowing in the same direction. And so now I'm going through a lot of personal growth when it comes to how to get everybody to row in the same direction, have a clear vision of exactly where we're going. Because if I'm the only one that knows about it, which at the time it's right now, then what happens is person's rowing this way, person's rowing this way, person's rowing this way. So it's becoming clear of where the ship is going. See, everybody. What the cool thing is that you might be listening now, is that you might be the one-man show. Well, the cool thing is, as I kind of figured out the hiring process to start hiring people, and when you start hiring people, right? And it might be a one-man show, and you're working a job where you've got a 9 to 5, you're making $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year, and now you want to do real estate and go out and do your first or second or third deal, but then progress to where now you have the ability to quit your job. Boom. There you go. Guess what? In the whole training system, we show you exactly how to do that. But then, now that you quit your job, now you're the one-man show and you're doing everything yourself. Well, then you're going to get to a point where you start to do multiple 2, 3, 4 deals where now you want to start hiring somebody. And then that goes into another whole segment of the business when it comes to finding the right talent, how to hire the right talent, and then also how to motivate, what type of positions they should be in, what type of contracts do you have with them. And then it progresses, and then you start to grow and build. So it's cool because and I basically get to share in these type of venues everything that's going on, right? So so now I I just signed a lease on a new office, and we're in the process of building out because we've completely grown out this place where we are, and there is no room to grow. I can't hire any more people because I have no place to put them. You know, we got 2 people in offices, and we're all crammed and stepping all over everybody, and it's too tight. So the new office is going to be a lot better to where we can grow into it, and also too we can house a lot of local meetings there, which are cool, which I'm excited to do. So, you know, as it progresses, you know, you start to grow and build it bigger and build it bigger, you know, until you know, and some of you might be in a position where you're just like, listen, if I do 1 deal a month and make $10,000, I'm good. That's it. That's all. You know, some of you want to go, you know, so where you go, you know, do 3 or 4 or 5 deals a month. It just depends on what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. Now, for me, you know, a lot of what I do in the real estate business is pushing, right, to go and build and grow and keep learning and keep, you know, educating myself, you know, because I want to report back to you on what works and what doesn't work. You know, we test mail pieces, we test, you know, mail pieces to go to voicemails that sell all sorts of different stuff. Once we find something that works really well, then we report it back to you, and I can tell you, you know, even when it comes to a hiring process, you know, which is great. So primarily I want to, you know, just talk about, you know, on this is answer your questions. You know, dedicate this time to answer your questions, dive in if you got properties you want to talk about, if you've got, you know, deal structures you want to talk about. So I want to dive in and answer your questions. So I am going to okay. All right, this is from Winnie. Winnie. What's up, Winnie? All right, says, hey Sean, I can't even see that. Let me see. I tell you, when you get, I'm 44, right? And when you hit 40, something's up with your eyes. Have you noticed that? You know what I mean? And I hate glasses, and I mean, I look like a dork in glasses because I got such a big forehead, right? So you know, so my wife's like, you got to get glasses. So I went to the eye doctor. You know, and I think the primary reason is this thing right here, because, you know, you're sitting there looking at the phone, and you're on the phone, and you're doing email and stuff like that. I mean, that's going to mess up your eyes. So anyways, I go to the eye doctor, right, and I'm sitting, you know, and I'm saying, listen, you know, my long-term vision is like 20/20. My short-term vision, I can't see squat. I mean, and my vision was like, I was a Marine. It was like perfect, right? So I go into the doctor, and I'm sitting there, and she looks at my eyes and go, hey, you know what? You're over 40. You know, short-term vision goes, you know, this, that, and the other. So, you know, I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't work. She goes, well, we can, you know, subscribe. You can get glasses, or you can get, you know, these things right here, these reading glasses, you know, which you know, suck. You know, who wants to wear reading glasses? So she goes, well, you can do contacts. Why don't you do contacts? Well, you know, I said, okay. Yeah, I don't really like contacts. I want to stick something in my eye. I'm just so she's sitting there, and my eyes are like deep set in my head. I mean, I'm like deep set. You know what I mean? It's like, so she's like, okay, if a caveman can do it, then maybe you can do it, right? So she's sitting there. I'm in this chair, right, sitting there, and she has got this thing, and she's trying to get my eye open and shove this thing, and I'm sitting there back of the chair like this, freaking out, and you know, and she's got her finger in mine. She could not get the stupid contact in because my eyes are so deep set in the back of my head. You know, she couldn't do it. So anyways, I suffer with, so I'm taking this new nutritional products right now to help vision. Actually, it's working pretty well. It's a little bit better, but you know, as soon as you start using these things, your eyes start to rely on them, and then they get worse. You know, I'd rather, you know, is there something, you know, or LASIK or something like that where I can get the short-term vision. But anyways, so I'm sitting there trying to read this. Okay, here we go. So hey Sean, I just talked to a motivated seller, and here is the situation. He wants to get rid of the house, but he has his sister living in there until January. How do I structure the deal? Okay, so he wants to get rid of the house, and I'm going to I'm going to put it, I'm going to go look at the comments on here. Okay, so here's the deal. So the sister lives in the house, and the guy wants to sell the house. So I would ask the guy, what's more important to you? Selling the house and getting it done now, or having your sister live in the house until January? Because we could help her find another place to live. So what's more important to you, Mr. Seller, getting this deal done ASAP, or is it more important to you to have your sister in the house until January? Now, Winnie, once he answers that question, right, then you know, because here's the deal. If he says, listen, it's really, really important that I have my sister in there till January. That is the most important thing to me. I got to make sure she's taken care of. You know, she needs the place to live, and that's what she can make happen. That's what she can commit to. Okay. So then you know what path. Because here's the deal: if he is very passionate about keeping his sister in there, and you're going down the road to moving her out, then guess what? You're going to lose the deal. Because remember, you want to find out what people want and then try to structure a deal to show them how to get it. But if he says, listen, you know what? If I could find another place for my sister, right, that worked for her, and I could get the thing closed ASAP, then that would work. So then I'd say, great, why don't we structure the deal? Why don't we write the contract, right? We're going to write it up subject to us finding a place for your, a reasonable place for your sister, okay? And obviously she's going to have to pay for it. She's going to have to, do that time. I can't fund it for her, but we'll help her find a place. And that might be beneficial to you depending on how good the deal is. Now, if you're going to make $2,000, $3,000 on it, I wouldn't probably go through the hassle. But if it's a $15,000, $20,000 deal, it might be worth going. And you might tie that into the negotiation. Say, listen, since we're going to be spending time in doing this, listen, we really need to be at X to make this happen. So what that's doing now is you're finding out specifically what's most important to him and how to structure the deal to be able to keep the sister there. Now, what if he says, I want to have the sister there no matter what? Then what you do is you say, okay, my funding partners, they might fund it and hold back funds of the sale, until your sister's out. I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to them to see what would be the best way to for them to structure it. Now, what you're going to do is now you're going to get it under contract, right? And then you're going to put it out to your buyers, and you're going to say, listen, there's a lease in place until January. Now, there's going to have to be a lease with his sister. There's going to be, I would try to find out if there's some sort of rent that could be paid or something, or you could structure in the deal prepaid rent in the deal for the sister until January. So then you put it out to your buyers and say, listen, here's the deal. I'll get this house and get it to you at a good price. There's a tenant in there that's prepaid. Here's the prepaid rent, and it's $500 a month for the next 6 months, whatever. And so that's going to come back to you at closing, and then you can you be able to take over the property in January and do what you want with it. So on that question, I asked the seller, it's 55 on the house. It's worth 76. He wants to sell the house right now. I need your help on that. Okay. So 55, I mean, that's not a big spread. I mean, he owes 55. So, I mean, yeah, and it's worth 76. That's not a smoking deal. It's not even 70% of value. In this situation, I mean, it's got to be in a hot subdivision, to be able to do that, a hot subdivision. But in this particular case, there's not a lot of room, Winnie, in this particular deal. And I probably wouldn't, you wouldn't structure it on a seller finance deal. You possibly could sell a seller finance deal. But you'd have to maybe you could sell on a seller finance deal, give the seller $1,000, keep the $55,000 loan in place for the term of 3 years, right? Make sure there's a lease signed with the sister in there if she wants to stay. sign the lease with a sister and have her paying rent. And if the rent is, market, then either, there's not enough room in here to do prepaid rent, so she would have to pay rent, until January. Make sure it's market rent. Then you can package the deal up, right, with a renter in place paying market rents, and a seller carry in this situation, agreement for sale, contract for deed, and sell that deal, right, to another investor. Okay, and you have to sell it to another investor. You can't sell it to an owner-occupant, obviously, because the sister's going to be in there. So that's probably how I'd structure the deal. You only can give him like $1,000. You can't give him $10,000 because there's no room in the deal. Give him $1,000. Now, what is going to be attractive to the seller, to the buyer for this? Well, you could probably sell it for $59,000. He owes 55, maybe 60. It's going to be maybe 62, 63 with seller financing. So someone can come in with $5,000 to $7,000, $8,000 down, take over the $55,000. You market to the investor with a tenant in place, being the sister that's paying rent. Now, if the sister's not going to pay rent, and I mean, now you're going to have to do some sort of prepaid rent or discount. It's going to be a tough deal. If the thing is worth maybe 90 to 100. Okay, then there's some room to play with it, but 76 is pretty, is a pretty tight deal. So he can only get 1,000 in that particular case. All right. All right. Where is okay? Okay, this is from Juan. Question: do lease options / subject to deals minimize seller debt to income ratio? Minimize seller debt to income ratio. I have a potential seller going through a divorce with minimal equity and going to have to go through bankruptcy. I want to help, but don't know how any leasing or wrap options affect their credit liability. They are fully... if you do a lease option or you do a contract for deed or something like that, that right there is still on the seller's credit. They're liable for the loan. They're liable for the property, and it does not reduce their debt to income ratio only if a certain mortgage lender. Now, a debt to income ratio only comes if they're going to go buy another property and they're going to have to go qualify for a loan. In that case, right, if it's seasoned, meaning there's a year of payments on the subject to or the contract for deed, or the lease, if there's payment history on it, sometimes it has to be seasoned, and every mortgage professional is different on how they qualify. So in this particular situation, it's not going to affect their debt to income, I would say. It's not going to affect it because, right, their name is still on that loan. Okay, they're still going to be liable for that. Especially if they're going through bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is that's another whole issue. And it definitely affects their credit liability. Chris, what's up? This is from Chris. When are you going to make some new podcasts? We are in the process of scheduling on a weekly basis new member spotlights, or some member spotlights. So we're going to take a member. We're going to do an interview with them, and then we're going to talk to, because everyone has a different story. Everybody has a different deal. So we're going to take members that get their first checks or second checks or whatever. Then we're going to spotlight more members that have been around for a while that are now, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, and how they scaled that. So we're going to do a lot of cool member stuff that way. Good question. This is from Jill. How many deals did you complete before you left your job? Now, at the time, I was in a job that I completely hated. Yeah, I basically was like a pool landscape company. So I went out and I talked to sellers, or not sellers. I went out and I talked to people that just recently built their house. They just moved in, and they had no landscaping and they had no pool. So I would go structure a deal to where we could do all the landscaping and do the pool. And I worked with a pool company and the landscape company, and I would go out and get business for that. So that's and I didn't really like that. That sucked. I would go out and meet with a homeowner. I'd basically drop this entire plan. I'd bid the entire project. I'd give it to the homeowner, and they go, well, okay, let me think about it. And then what happened is they will go talk to 4 or 5 of the guys. They take my bid and they lowball it, and then they get it done for a cheaper price. So I just didn't like it, and the guy I worked for was a complete jerk. It was all really political. So for me, when I got my first deal of $11,008, I was like, forget about it. I'm done. Now, I quit right there. I was like, no more. I went full boat into real estate, and from that May 2003 all the way to the end of the year, I made $134,000. Now, am I saying to do that? Now from, it was risky, right? Because I had a wife, and kid, and family, and all this type of stuff. What I would say now is keep your job, right, and get 1 year's worth of income flipping houses. So now that's how you know. So you flip houses. So let's say you do 3, 4, 5, or 6 deals, and let's say your total annual income is $50,000. Well, then okay, listen, if I do 5 deals at $10,000, I'll have $50,000 cash in the bank. I can quit my job. You get 1 year's worth of income. Or, right, if you get, if you get 10 deals, right, at $5,000, then you have the ability to quit your job. So I would get 1 year's worth of income in the bank as fast as humanly possible, and then that will give you the option to quit your job. You're getting experience flipping houses, and you're having kind of like a track record or history doing it, and you're getting confident, get your team built, your buyers list built, and then now you can transition and get out of that job. Okay, this is from Juan. Mailing organization. What system do you manage your mailing lists with? Distinguish cold leads, warm leads, follow-up. As callers respond to be taken off the mailing list, certain lists are further along in follow-ups than others. I don't know the best way to modify. List source lists are in the Excel spreadsheet. So, yeah, actually, Juan, that's a very, very good question. Very astute, because we can tell you've been mailing before, so great question. Here's the deal. There is no real solution for managing all your mailing lists. What we do is we have a Dropbox folder that we share in our office here, and we have our lists, and each folder, right, has a list that we mail. Okay, so a folder might be a blanket list, another one might be Las Vegas, another one might be, zombie foreclosures, another one might be probates, another one might be absentee owners, one might be high equity. So what we'll do is we rotate from the list, and then we track where the best conversions are so we can do more of the same. Okay, so in that particular case, all the lists go in there. But because we mail so much, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a week, we cannot take everybody's name off. It would take, it'd be ridiculous to be able to, okay, type in their name, and it pulls them off the list. Okay, so there is no list management system out there right now to be able to do that. Basically what we do is we just continue to mail. Now, when it comes to follow-up, all the leads go into Podio, and then from Podio, they're exported out, all the leads that are currently active. We mail those leads once a month, and we call loop those leads. Call loop is you can basically create a voicemail, and you can voicemail blast everybody, right? And you can do that, and we do that twice a week. And what that does is that generates a bunch of calls that are coming in from people that we couldn't touch. Okay. Also, too, what that does is it generates some amazing business, which is awesome. Now, I can tell you this. I'm working on a software program that will manage lists. One part of it. I mean, it's going to be pretty killer. but it's managing. It will have the ability to manage lists, so you keep all your lists in one place, and you'll be able to have a search field. You type in the name, it takes it out, and you press remove, and it removes it from the list. So that's in the making that's coming up. This is from Chris Roney. I hear all the time that you don't put earnest money down with the seller, but I thought you have to put down $10 to make it legally binding. If you put down zero, or do you write zero on the contract? Do you put money down? Do you give the money to the seller or title company? What form of payment? Do you use a cashier's check, personal check, money order? What we do is we have a standing like $1,000 at title company, okay? And what we do is it's a standing $1,000 check. Now, 99.9% of the time we put $10 on the contract, and $10 is basically makes the contract legal binding. Now, if you get into a lawsuit and someone says, "Hey, you know what? This is a fake contract or whatever. It's just not." And you want to try to sue them for specific performance, you're going to have to document that you show that you gave them $10 in some way. So we use $10 in all of our contracts, but also we have a standing $1,000 that can be used to actually for the proof of funds, if it's not proof of funds, but for to be used toward that $10 earnest money. And that's how we kind of have it set up with a title company. Not every title company will set it up like that, but we have it basically in an account, and what they'll do is they can credit the $10 as earnest money toward that particular contract, and it comes out at $1,000. David, what case is on this phone? This is a Mophie. It's a Mophie case. They're about $100, and what this case does, it gives you, so you can press the button right there, and it charges it to 100%. So you just leave it on all the time, and what it does, it just keeps your phone charged at 100% all day long, which is killer. I mean, for the amount of time I'm on my phone, it's great. It can be like 5 o'clock, and I still have 100% on the phone, which is awesome. All right, David Burrell, not to be rude, but content, please. All right, David, what question do you want answered? If you have a question. Hi, Sean. Do you think it is best for someone who has done a couple deals already to start implementing your six-figure wholesaling training system? Yes, absolutely. The bottom line is that when it comes to going from 2 or 3 deals to 6 figures a month, there are specific systems, hiring, training, managing your KPIs, key performance indicators, that will allow you to scale your business to a higher level. Because what happens is this: if you're doing 2 and 3 and 4 deals a month, right? You cannot grow to do 12 to 15 deals to 20 deals to 30 deals in multiple different markets. You can't grow doing that, right? By yourself. So you have to hire team members. You have to have a system in place like Podio to manage the leads. You have to be able to report numbers. Numbers are the most important thing, because numbers will tell you how your marketing campaigns for the highest ROI. Numbers will tell you what marketing campaign is producing the most revenue, what mail pieces are producing the most leads that come in, and we test those constantly. We send out new mail pieces. We test new lists. And we gather that information, and we determine the ROI, and then that type of stuff I share with you. So we're still doing tests on about 3 or 4 different postcards right now, but we're starting to get really good results off them, where then we can share that with you. This is Richard. He says, Sean, don't try newspaper inserts. They don't work. Okay. Would you try bus bench advertising? That's a great question. I have a friend of mine here locally in Phoenix, and what he does is he does all the best bus bench advertising all around Phoenix. I mean, he's like everywhere, and he's doing probably 4 to 5 deals a month, and that's he doesn't do any direct mail. He doesn't do any banner. He does nothing but that, and that's all he does. And he spends the money on it. I don't know exactly the cost of it, but he's getting at least 2, 3, 4 deals a month. It covers the cost of that, and he be able to generate income. I would test it, okay, and I would test it to see how it worked. I've done billboards before. Those billboards that are not a standalone billboard, but they're billboards that that have like an image and it kind of flips through all the other images, like digital billboard. And I've done that, and I spent 10 grand on it and had it up for about 2 months and didn't get one call off it. Now, might because the ad sucked or something, I don't know. I would be willing to try it again with like a different, like with 1-800-FAIR offer. Instead of just using a generic number, but I would definitely have to test it again. But the first time I didn't have luck, so I'd have to change the ad and test it again. If I don't have luck after the second time, then I'd probably pass on that marketing channel for sure. This is from Chris. What do you know about the SAFE Act passed in 2008 affecting subject to and seller carry? Basically, what it's done is I believe it's tied to the Dodd-Frank Act, and the Dodd-Frank Act is there to protect borrowers, right, from high financed deals. It's basically to protect owner occupant buyers and seller financing for those particular sector. Now, what the real underlying thing is that it's the banks lobbying to stop seller financing to, right, to owner occupants. Because if all the banks lobby, if you guys have a question, from Gary, don't send me a private message. Just ask it so the whole group can see, please. So, anyways, what happens is that the banks lobbied to stop people from offering seller financing to owner occupants, right? Because that will then drive those people back to the mortgage companies to get loans. So seller financing has been a billion-dollar industry because, either private money or, giving or seller financing to owner occupants has been a billion-dollar industry. So what the banks are going saying, hey, if we can pass a law, Dodd-Frank, that drives them back to the bank, then they can get more business to the bank. Fannie and Freddie, it's a government thing. So what does basically that say? It says that you can't do seller financing or subject twos to owner occupants. Okay, don't do it. You can't do it. You can't sell a property with seller financing to an owner occupant. Can't do it. But you can sell to an entity or a business. Right, an investor, business, a classified investor, or someone that's going to be like an entity, like an LLC or a company, because now you're selling it to an investor, and an investor is educated instead of an owner occupant, which they're trying to protect. So I used to sell to owner occupants, but today I don't. This is from LA. What's your opinion on wholesaling HUD properties in the current market? Has the way of wholesaling HUD homes changed recently on your HUD trade? No, it's exactly the same. And the only difference in the HUD is that throughout the market, right? Throughout the market, the threshold for HUD is different in each state. But I could bid on properties in whatever market, and the inventory goes like this. Inventory goes like this. In like Southern California, there's very tight inventory. Like in parts of Texas, there's a lot more inventory. Parts of the Midwest, there's a lot of inventory. So in Denver, there's not a lot of inventory. Here, the inventory literally fluctuates. Where it goes, we have 20 properties, then it goes down to 2 and 3 properties. So it fluctuates with, like, it's almost seasonal almost. So But all that information is 100% accurate, and you use it to bid on HUD homes, you know, all the time, and get deals and flip them. So they're awesome. This is David. Sean, if you don't have a buyer's list yet, where would you post your properties to get the best results? Couple different things. If you have no buyer's list, right, and you want to build a buyer's list, then the first thing I would do is I'd post it on Craigslist, Backpage. Those would be two. And I would take the calls, I'd interview the people, and I'd put them on a database. Number two is I put bandit signs all around the property that would generate calls and be able to talk to buyers that way. Number three is that you can pull a cash buyers list out of ListSource, and you can put all the people that purchased cash, right, in the last, you know, say 66 months. And you can do it in the zip codes around your specific property. So let's say there's 4,000 buyers that have bought cash in the last 6 months, but you want to narrow that down to maybe 400 to 500. Well, guess what? You can narrow it down by the zip codes around your property, and then you can send them a flyer. Okay, send them a flyer about the property. That works best. If you send a generic letter saying, "Hey, I've got properties," then it has not worked for me. Okay, it works better when I have a specific property I'm trying to sell. It generates interest, it generates calls, especially if it's a good deal. Your phone will melt off the hook with buyers, and you can build. And that's a very active buyers list. If to learn how to pull that list in ListSource, I would call ListSource support. Tell them, and they have a great support staff. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. I'm looking for cash transactions that happened in the last 6 months. Okay, and what that will do is they'll help you facilitate that search for you, and then you can kind of narrow it down to zip codes depending how big the list is. So you know, those are a couple different ways. Another great way is inside the MLS. Right, I would do a 3-mile radius. Right, have a real estate agent you can work with, a 3-mile radius of all the properties that have sold cash, and I would target or call the listing agent, right, that has sold those properties. Not the listing agent, but the selling agent, the agent who brought the buyer that purchased the property. If you contact them, that agent is not only representing that buyer that purchased a property, and they might want another one, they're also too represent other buyers, and you could essentially sell the property quickly. So if you do those 4 steps, right, you'll be able to sell that property fairly quickly. And the best way to build a buyer's list, the best way is have a smoking deal for a property. What happens is now you're going to get floods of calls from people coming in. You're going to get offers and contracts, and you're going to build that buyer's list quickly. The best way to build it is have a smoking deal. This is from Ellie. Zombie foreclosures is a new list we're testing. And a zombie foreclosure are properties that are in foreclosure, right? Pre-foreclosure or foreclosure. They haven't went to the bank yet, but it's still owned by the owner, but they're in foreclosure, and they're deemed vacant. So what we've done is we're targeting that list where we can now find where that owner is, right? Mail them, and now they've already given up on the property. It's in finance, so it's vacant, and they've given up on the property. It's in foreclosure. It's vacant. And we're looking for those with equity. Now the problem is the list is really small. In Phoenix right now, I mean, the list is like 250. So what we're looking is what the national list count is nationally for those zombie foreclosures. But we're testing it. I don't have results from it right now. I can't let you. I mean, they literally just hit yesterday. So. Okay, Denise. Denise is posting this for another member. What is the best list criteria for Miami, Palm Beach, and Fort Lauderdale? How often should postcards and letters be sent out? So what is the best list? right? Always the best list, the absolute best list is absentee owners with high equity, right? And then if you want to narrow it down even more, right, then do it by age. Someone that's 65 years or older. So absentee owners, high equity, 65 or older, those are a great demographic to target in any market. So how often should you send postcards or letters to send out? We send them to the same list depending how that list performs for us. We'll send them every 60 to 90 days. Okay, and we're going to hit that list over and over and over again because timing, and it's just repeating. So I don't get a list and mail it and then go get another list and mail it and go get another list and mail it. I don't do that. We get a list, right, and then we mail it, and then we mail it again in 60 days, and we mail it again in another 60 days, but we do it with different mail pieces. Okay, we'll send a first mail piece, and we'll send another mail piece, and we'll send with different mail pieces. And see what type of results get. When our ROI starts to decrease rapidly, then we might go refresh that list. All right, this is from David. Okay, wait, what's okay? Which of those better? Okay, which of those is better for these areas? Is the 30 to 45 days good to send out mailers? I think I just said that. I use the same list every time or change over. Said that. Bandit signs. Okay. Bandit signs are something that has to be done consistent. You don't put 25 bandit signs and go, well, I've tried it. You put them out 25, and you put them out every single weekend, and you blanket different areas all around. Bandit signs are huge. Bandit signs is a massive way to get some of the best motivated sellers. Like I said, I know a guy that all he does is wake up in the morning, he puts bandit signs out, and then he takes the rest of the day off. He gets calls coming in, and he goes on appointments. That's it. He wakes up with the bandit signs in the morning, and he takes calls, and he goes on appointments. Some days he doesn't get hardly any calls. He might get 2 or 3, but every single day he's putting them out, and the guy's doing 20 deals a month. He's making over $100,000 a month doing that. Okay. Okay, this is David Sean. My first appointment with a motivated seller tomorrow. Boom! Congratulations. You referenced an iPad app that you have that walks the seller through the process. Where can I find that? You can find that in, I think it's module. Where's my paperwork here? I believe it's module 4. Right, and it's called the Custom Covert Intuitive Presentation, and you can download it there. If you can't find it, submit a support ticket, and Denise or Chelsea will be able to guide you on that. Okay, David Marquette, what's up, buddy? List management. When you are small, someone can create a database to house. Yes, they can create a database to house all the lists for you, and then be able to search it in and remove them from the list and export them out if you want. Right now we just use Dropbox inside there. Thanks again. That answered my question. Mailing system. Look forward to learning more about mailing software development. When you say that direct mail program don't work as well as California, if that for postcard and yellow letters or just postcards, California is I would really focus on distress. I wouldn't send a blanket mailing. Okay, I'd really focus on foreclosures or pre-foreclosures. I'd really focus on probates. I'd really focus on evictions, fire damaged properties. I'd really focus on in California. And the cool thing is, you get a deal in California, the spreads are ridiculous, and the sales will move quickly. That here, we're doing blanket lists, but we're averaging $10,000, $15,000 a deal. Whereas in California, you can do $40,000, $50,000 deals. So you really want to narrow in on those niche. Like divorce would be a good one. Probate would be a good one. Inheritance, if you can get the list, would be a good one. fire damaged properties, evictions, will be a good one. Those are all good lists you can target, and that's what I would target if I was going to hit, say, Orange County. Where? Can you talk about buying a property in a trust to get around the bank short sale requirements? This is instead. You know what? I'm not an expert in that, but Andy Bacon is. Andy Bacon's an expert. I don't have an expertise for buying in trust because I don't do it. I do double escrows, or I do assignments, or we use just flash funding. But the bottom line is yeah, I don't do that. Andy Bacon, that's his specialty. He literally does all his transactions in trusts. So he'll purchase the property in the trust, and then he'll sell the trust out with the property in it, right? Or he'll get the winning bid on a HUD home within a trust, and then he'll sell the rights out for someone to close on that property. Do I have an ad I can use for bus bet? I don't. I've never created an ad for that, so I don't have one that I could share or use. I know the guy, what he does is he has a picture of himself, and he basically says, it says, we buy, not ugly houses, but we buy properties, all cash, and you can, just a regular yellow, we buy houses, but I don't have anything that I use that I could share with you, sorry. This is, hey Sean, I met with a free and clear seller in a duplex. When I send her my offer in the mail, what should I add in the contract? That's a great question. If you're sending out something by mail, you want to add a credibility package. And a credibility package, that we use is the custom covert intuitive presentation. So you want to make that presentation. It's in a Keynote version. Make it your own, right? And then turn around, and once you make it your own, then you can mail that with your offer, and what it does, it gives you credibility. Okay, here's from Gary. Have you ever worked with Property Radar or Foreclosure Radar to look up your properties? No. I've never used those services. I don't know if they work or don't work. Typically what I do is I have a local company that we pull lists from. And for nationally, like, if I go buy a list from, for like Vegas, I will buy it from ListSource. But locally, I have a list company, and we just get all the pre-foreclosures there. Foreclosures are actually bank-owned properties, and those ones you can get from the MLS. Typically, they're listed. But pre-foreclosures, I get them from a local company here in Arizona. This is from Jim Shoemaker. What's up, buddy? How's it going? Are you finding that, and we're in the same market here, are you finding that postcards are better, bang for your buck starting out? Postcards have a better ROI, but yellow letters we use for niche lists. Like, we're sending out these zombie foreclosures. We started with a postcard, but then we'll also test a yellow letter, okay? To see which is the response would be better for that one, and which will produce the best ROI. Now, Jim, this is what I tell you. You're in Phoenix, and there's a ton of people mailing in Phoenix, right? So if I were you, Jim, I would focus all your energies on bandit signs in high cash transaction areas. Like, I would hit Maryvale. I would hit parts of Old Town Chandler. If I think you're in Queen Creek. Parts of Queen Creek I would hit down there. And I would go out, Jim, every single day. I'd pick 25 to 30 bandit signs, and then I'd go out, and that's what I'd hit. There are tons of people mailing here like crazy. So in a high area where there's tons of mail, sending 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 postcards is going to be hit or miss in this market. But bandit signs, you're going to get that person that's going to drive by, see that bandit sign, call you, and that'd be a great lead. So if it was me, Jim, that's what I'd focus on, is bandit signs. This is a good question from guest 992. What about rural investing? I see in the academy. I see a little about it in the academy. There are many links. How much of the information is all over the place? Even this conference call and answering questions at random. When a person is starting with little money, there is very little room for mistake. In your talking about HUD, stay on HUD. And do you have in-depth training concerning virtual deals and the rural setting? I feel is an issue when comps. Here's the thing. I would not, especially if you're on a budget, and if there's any links inside the academy that are saying that don't work, then submit a support ticket and let us know. You know, if a link doesn't work and you submit a support ticket, we'll immediately modify it, change it, and it could be a browser issue. Might be a browser that you're using, maybe Internet Explorer, or maybe it could be Firefox or whatever. Most of the time, we find that it's a browser issue if there's any links that aren't working within the academy. So if you do find something, could you please let us know? That would help us be able to modify it or see what the issue is. As for investing in rural areas, I wouldn't suggest it, because you think about it, we're selling to cash investors, and if you're selling to cash investors, a lot of cash investors aren't going to look in those rural areas. So if you live in a rural area, I would target the closest metropolitan city that you can. And if you want to do the business virtually, it's the exact same thing. But what's great about being part of the Flip to Freedom Academy and being part of this Facebook group, we've got people doing virtual deals all across the country. So what you're going to do, oops, where am I here? So what you'll do is you pick a metropolitan city, you do all the same marketing, all the same things. The only difference is you're going to be negotiating over the phone. You'll have the seller send you pictures of the property, negotiate, find comps, do everything over the phone with the seller, and then once you get that deal and it's signed and under contract, then you can network with a local investor, right? In that particular local city that's part of the Flip to Freedom Academy, and you guys can work a deal split on it. Typically, when I do deals, it's 50-50. Or you can say, hey, listen, I got this deal under contract, for 100. I want to sell for 120. You turn around and sell it. We'll split the deal 50-50. So we got tons of people doing deals all across the country because of the Facebook group and being part of that. So don't let that stop you. It's just if you're talking about HUD, stay on HUD. And well, listen, I'm answering questions at random here, right? So I can't. If I'm doing a training specifically on HUD, that's different. But I'm answering everybody's questions. If someone asks about HUD, I'm going to answer it. If someone asks about about virtual wholesaling and rural stuff, I'm going to answer. I'm not just going to stay on that for the next 20 minutes when I have other people that's going to ask questions. It's not realistic. Okay, sorry, Sean, I didn't quite understand what I need to do about the earnest money. If I give $10 earnest money, do I actually give it to the seller, or is it a personal check? No, Chris, give the $10 check format to the title company with the contract. That's exactly what you want to do. Okay, give $10 with the contract, a $10 check to the title company, right, with your contract. Is there a site or resource out there that gives you addresses of vacant homes? Yes, it's called Find Motivated Sellers Now. Find Motivated Sellers Now. That particular site allows you to search vacant properties, and it will give you the forwarding address. And if there is no forwarding address, you can mail the actual address. Cool. Guest 992 buyers list. Build first. How do you sell a buyer on no product? On no product. Good question. Guest 992 again. Okay. Here's the thing: is that in a seller's market, right, where it's a, when the market is down, right, and there's not a lot of buyers in the marketplace, you search for buyers, and then you find deals that the buyers want. Okay. Now you got to understand in real estate, it's cyclical. It goes up and down. So back in 2008, 2009, there was very few buyers in the market, right? There were tons of sellers in the market. So what we do is we would locate buyers, find out specifically what they wanted, and go find that product for them, okay? Now, the market now has shifted, and now that the market's shifted, because now it's a buyer's market, actually a seller's market. So now in this particular situation, now buyers are looking for deals. They're like, oh my gosh, I gotta get deals, gotta get deals. So now in that situation, you would find the deal, right? And then you tee it up and you'd have multiple buyers that would be able to purchase that property. So it's keeping in tune with the market. Now, we're going to be in a market like this for the next probably 2 to 3 years. Okay, so we're going to be in that market. It's going to be going up. So we're going to be in where you find a deal and the buyers will come rushing. When the market starts to decrease and it starts to go down and buyers start to retract and there's more sellers than buyers, and how do you tell? It's inventory. When the inventory is real low, right, then guess what? If you find inventory, you can sell it quickly. If the inventory is real high, right, then you need to find the buyers to find the specific inventory that they want. Make sense? This is from Jill. I made a huge tactical error with a great offer for property. I went in first, and the seller played my offer to a better offer from an agent representing an investor. How do I avoid this going forward? Well, typically, if you build rapport enough, and it's going to happen. It's part of the business. It's going to happen. It will happen where, if you leave a contract with a seller, right, they will then have the ability to shop that contract around. So I don't leave contracts with sellers. I don't do it. Now, if we're just submitting offers on people we believe are unmotivated, that's a different story. But if I believe they're a truly motivated seller and they want to sell the house, then I'm going to go in and do everything I can to get the contract signed right there on the spot and negotiate with them to get signed on the spot. And if they say, well, I want to think about it, say, well, listen, I've got several other appointments I have to go on. I have a limited amount of ability to do this. So the bottom line is, is that, if we can get it signed today, great. If not, then I can't commit that I'll be able to do it over the next couple of days because I've got other properties I'm going to look at. So you have to kind of pull it away. So now they're going to be, holy cow, I get a bird in hand, or I could get 2 in the bush. So if you can get them in a situation where they say, listen, I've got a bird in hand, I got a contract here I can sign, and if you get them to sign the contract, it will eliminate that, but it's going to take some negotiation. If they say, listen, I got to talk to my real estate agent, and say, listen, what, here's the contract, call me, when you're ready, and I might be available to be able to, get it purchased, or I might not. It just depends on timing. So, Chelsea, custom covert, module 5, custom covert, okay. So the custom covert intuitive presentation is downloadable in module number 5. When do we find out about the 10 people? We will be in the next couple days. If you signed up, Lori, then you are in. If you signed up last night, you were in, because we still have a couple spots left for that. Yes, Lester, there'll be a replay. This is from Craig Hunt. Great question. On the contract in the academy, Where's the contract about partner's approval? Do I add that? Yes, you would add that in. You put contract subject to partner's approval, and I think if you watch the videos or read the in there, it will tell you. Just put in there, in that section, contract subject to partner's approval. This is from Craig. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's from Brett. How often do you send follow-up postcard to the absentee owner list or any list? Yeah, I think it's every 60 to 90 days. So here we have a gigantic list, right? It's about, we kind of pare it down and try to narrow it down, 300,000 to 400,000 names. And in those 300,000 to 400,000, we try to rotate them every, say, 90 days. And it depends on how, if we send out 30,000 a week or 20,000 a week, depending on how the leads are coming in and how we're handling it and how we're testing these. So as a rule of thumb, I would hit them every 60 to 90 days if you can cycle through that list. Okay, Rhonda said the custom covert doesn't work, so Chelsea or Denise, if you could find out how to get that downloaded, or put a Dropbox link, or we can upload it to make it work. So thanks for telling us that, Rhonda. So Chelsea, could one of you guys figure out how to get that to download? Okay, I had a seller I was working with in the past few weeks. I ran into a problem in that she had 2 houses on a single parcel. How do you determine value comps on a property like that? There was also a detached garage workshop that was not technically finished, so I can't count it as a regular square footage. How do you value other structures like that or trying to calculate ARV? The seller ended up not being that motivated and didn't like what I offer, but I'd like to know just in case I run into it again. When you're running into properties in Phoenix here, there's a lot of they call it wildcat subdivisions. In a wildcat subdivision, and they're in some different areas, they might have an acre property with multiple different properties on it. Now, here's the thing, is that when you're looking at try to value, what I try to do is we look at all the properties, including multifamily, within a 2 to 3 mile radius of the subject, and we're trying to find 1 or 2 or 3 properties that has sold recently. I would look at duplexes. I would look at threeplexes. I would look at single-family houses that potentially have other units on there, a guest house, a grandma house on there or something. So I would try to find something. And typically, in Jim, you're in Phoenix, there are typically, if you go out a 2 to 3 mile radius, you'll find other properties that are similar that has either a duplex or triplex. And then what you can do, if it is a duplex or a triplex, you can, or if there's 2 houses on there, you can do it on a per unit basis. Now, typically when we look at multi-unit properties, we would look at cap rate, we'd look at cash flow, right? And when also, I usually look at, too, to make it real quick and dirty on it, is a price per unit. On the price per unit, is that a price per unit comparable to what the market is demanding? You might also look on LoopNet. LoopNet is a commercial site that has multi-unit properties on there. But for your specific question, I would look in a 3 mile radius. I would try to find a similar property with multi-units on it, or a duplex or a triplex, and then that's how I would kind of determine my value on the property. Jim, okay, in general, if you have an older property, say 1950, everything around it is never custom homes built past 10 years, how do you compare calculate ARV? In general, if you have an older property, say 1950, everything around it is custom homes built in the past 10 years, how would you compare that property? Depending on the condition of the property, when an appraiser does comparable properties, they have to look at like property. So you're going to have to find within a subdivision, within a quarter mile, half mile, 1 mile, properties that are similar that are built in 1950, okay, on a similar lot size. You can't use houses that are brand new construction, right? That's you know, you can't do it. You have to find properties that are around the area in 1950. That's what an appraisal will do. Okay. Would find motivated sellers now, would that be considered niche that you'd prefer yellow letters for, or would you send those postcards? Find motivated sellers now, there's two particular lists. There's vacant, right, and I would send them a postcard. There's absentee owners with high equity, right? We send postcards because we're sending mass volume. If you're sending 300 to 500, you know, then you're going to get a better response from yellow letters. What are my thoughts about FreedomSoft, Preston Ailey, and Dean Graziosi? FreedomSoft is a great product. We use Podio. Podio is cheaper. It's free, you know, up to 5 users. So, you know, FreedomSoft has the ability to do websites in there and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a good product. I used it, but we use Podio now. Preston Ailey, he's been in the business forever. Good person. I know him personally. He's a good Christian person, good guy. Dean Graziosi, I know him personally. He's in this market here, and he is a truly genuine good person. I know him personally. His heart is in the right place. He wants to try to help people. So I have nothing bad to say. So this is from Denise talking to Rhonda about the custom covert presentation. Her link is working for the download, the custom covert presentation. So Rhonda, it must be on your side. It must be on your side, Rhonda, for the browser you're using. Okay. So Rhonda, call Denise, and she'll help you out. This is JMM. Just download the custom covert presentation. Works fine for me. And he says, okay, great, no problem. Awesome, giggle. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Guest 922. Looks like you're just getting started and you want to have some focus on what to do. And it looks like you have a limited budget and you want to do. Let's talk about virtual for her sake. Him or her, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, so I apologize. Can't see the picture there, guest 922. So virtual wholesaling. Let's talk about virtual wholesaling, and then we'll wrap it up. Virtual wholesaling, because of the internet, makes it extremely easy. So, you know, you can pick a city anywhere across the country, and you can pull an absentee owner list on ListSource, and you can send direct mail using Go Big Printing, right? GoBigPrinting.com/flip2freedom. And you can send postcards and start receiving calls that can go to a Google Voice or a voicemail system. And now you can start receiving those calls and start talking to sellers. And you can be in that market. So you could be in Phoenix, and you could market in Chicago if you want. And you could be doing deals in Chicago. The great thing is, and what I would do first, where'd you go? Guest 992. Is I would make a connection with someone in the marketplace, okay? Someone in the marketplace. So I would find a partner, someone that you could work with, and you're not going to send them leads, okay? You're not just going to send them leads and cross your fingers. You've got to get the deal negotiated, under contract with pictures. Most sellers will send you pictures. Now, the interesting thing is we had a guy that was at the Extreme Freedom event. He came for the Money Day, and he was from Australia, and he's doing deals in Phoenix. Okay, so what I told him to do, I said, listen, have all your marketing come from this Australian dude that's going to be doing deals in not in Phoenix, but in the U.S. Okay, so I was like, have all your marketing come from this. Hey, I'm an Australian, and I'm looking to buy property. So when they call, and he has that Australian, whatever that is, accent, then it ties that connection, right? So when it comes to marketing, say, listen, hey, I'm in California, and I'm looking for deals in Chicago, right? So you can say, hey, I'm a California investor. We really want to be in the Chicago market. We're looking for a couple more houses there. Please give us a call, right? Where we can pay cash, we can close quick. You don't have to wait. So then you sit down, and now someone gets the letter, and it could be a yellow letter that you can create. They get the letter, and they go, holy cow, I got this guy from California wants to. Yeah, let's call him, see what he says. And they negotiate a price. You look at the comps, right? And they send you pictures of the property. Sellers, everyone has an iPhone or a smartphone now that they can turn around, they can take pictures, and they can stick it in the email and send it to you. With technology, it's great. So now you look at the pictures, right? And it determines you can make an offer on the property. Now you're making your connection with the Flip to Freedom Academy group members here. What can happen is now you guys can do a deal together. So they market it through their buyer's list. They help show it. They do all this stuff. They can refer you to the title company there to open up escrow with. And then, boom, now you guys are splitting deals, right? So now you're kind of partying. There's a vested interest for them. It's a vested interest for you, and it works out great. So that is a great way to virtual wholesale, and it was very difficult prior to having member groups like this, where there's people that are all speaking the same language that are looking to find deals that would love to be able to partner with someone to do deals. So that's a great way to be able to do it. Okay. Go back here. This is from Lester. Yes, Lester will be sending out a replay link for that. Answer that. Okay. This is from, I would post this on the, MS Jasmine. I have a portfolio of 7 Section 8 3-bed, 2-bath properties in suburban Atlanta. Know of any buyers must sell. I would post that in the Flip to Freedom Academy group. There's a lot of guys from Atlanta there that that do deals. If their deals are good, then they can help you sell it. The problem is when people submit deals. I got this great deal, and if you look at it and it's listed, on the market, it's really not a great deal. It sucks. Okay, this is from Juan. How would you approach making offers on multiple properties when you see that an investor owes taxes on a handful of the properties, though in the property assessor site, I don't know anything about package wholesale deals? If you have a seller that has multiple properties, first focus on one, right? And how many you're talking about. You want to price each one individually. So you might be able to price each one individually and do a separate contract for each one. Now, recently we just did a deal with 31 properties in Kansas City where we bulked all those 31 properties together and we put them all on one contract, all on APM. But now we're dealing with more of a commercial contract. If you've got someone that has 2 or 3 houses, I would do individual contract for each house, and then you could sell them off individually and instead of putting them all on one contract where you have to sell them all as a bulk deal. Rhonda Love, boom, baby. I must have not seen it. I must have been out. Oh, you were in New York. So you did get your first check. Congratulations. Well, post it up on the Academy there, and I'll have Jerry Beth reach out to you. Maybe we can do an interview for the podcast, if that would be cool. And you can tell your story. New York. You brought up virtual wholesaling. If you are working on a property in another state, is it worthwhile or a good idea to use service like We Go Look, or would you have the owner send you pictures and such? Yeah, I think I would probably, if the owner is willing to send pictures, and they can send 15, 20, 30 pictures, the good, bad, and ugly about the property, so you can get an idea, then that would be highly effective. Okay. Now remember, if you're going to be doing virtual wholesaling, make sure you say, listen, hey, I'm an Arizona investor and I'm looking to buy properties in Chicago, and let them know. So now they're going to call you and say, hey, I got an Arizona investor. They're going to talk to you, and instead of saying and try to pretend you're from Chicago. I'm considering virtual wholesaling because I'm in a market that's too busy. No. Yes, you can do virtual wholesaling, Jim, but I do exactly what I told you to do. Bandit signs, you'll get deals. If you want to do direct mail, then I would maybe move into virtual markets, direct mail. But bandit signs in Phoenix, you can make a ton of money doing that. Boom, baby, boom, baby, boom, baby. Ellie, I'll send a link to the replay. Okay. I'll just post it right here. There you go. There's the replay. All right, I think that's it. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the Flip to Freedom coaching call for this week. I really, really appreciate it. And just remember this: you can do this. You have what it takes to make it happen. Every obstacle that you think is in your way is just your internal obstacle. Everybody believes that there might be an obstacle, but guess what? There's a question to every answer, and if you persist, you can do this. You can have anything you want in this business. Now, imagine doing 2 and 3 deals a month, and you're making $5,000 to $10,000 per deal. You're talking making $15,000 to $30,000 a month. Some people listening right now don't even make that in a year. So imagine making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. What would you do? I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with that, and you can do it. And there's tons of success stories of people doing it. So just don't give up on yourself, because you have what it takes. I mean, me, I don't have a college education. I have a high school education. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 18 years old. I traveled the world. I mean, I read a ton of books and try to stay on the cutting edge. But the bottom line is that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what market you're in. You can do this, and you have the ability to make it happen. I don't know of another business out there where you can get in with next to nothing, and you can generate a 6-figure income in record time. It's talking a story about, Tyler Weitz. I mean, the guy went from a bug man. He was spraying people's, listen to this podcast episode. It's amazing. But he went to people's houses and he killed bugs. He was a bug man. And he hated his job. And he went out, he got started. He sent out mail. He followed the process. He watched the videos. He did the training. And boom, guess what? Now the guy's getting, he's made 130-something thousand, 120,000 in his first 8 months. And he gets to spend time with his family, has a brand new child. So cool stuff that people can happen. Brad Donnelly, we were at a recent intensive event here in Phoenix. He went out, and it was amazing. He was making $20,000 a month and couldn't break through. Well, he left the event, applied the information, and boom, guess what? Now he's making $100,000 a month. It's possible. You can do it. You just got to believe in yourself. You got to have confidence in the process. It's going to work. Everything's not going to be perfect for you. At all times, it tries to be the best it can be. But if you just put forth the effort, you can go out and get the results. Don't try it. I'm going to try it. Don't try it. Do it. Right? Just do it. And if you just do it and you keep working the system, you keep doing it, you know, you're going to be tested on seeing how bad you want it. But then you're going to break through, just like Rhonda Love. She got her first check. Boom, she did it. And once you get the first check, everything after that, because your belief is there, is downhill. Then you get check after check after check after check, and you start scaling, start hiring people, start building an organization, and having a blast, and going on great vacations and doing some killer stuff. So you have the ability to do it. Just believe in yourself, and you can get the results that the reason why you signed up, the reason that you dream for, you want it. But you're here, and you want to be here, right? So, you know, to go from here to here, it's going to take energy and effort and focus, but you can do it because you're going to, even if you go on a job, you're going to have energy and focus and effort there anyways. So why not do it something that's going to build you, you know, a lasting lifestyle for you and your family. So that's it for me. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Take care, guys. I will see you in a couple weeks. Take care and God bless.